Many of us want to study Vedanta but don't know where to start. Here is the answer to that question. Vedanta Vijnana course. It will take one text of Prakarana Grantha, few chapters of Bhagavad Gita and one Upanishad. A study of essential Vedanta to live a transformed life. This course will be taught by an exceptional teacher, Swami Advayananji, who is the resident Acharya for the ongoing Sandipani Vedanta course. And where are we studying? At the Sandipani Sadhanalaya, Powai, Mumbai. Every Sunday, 10:30 to 11:30. Come, learn, get inspired and transform your life. The course is also available online. You can be wherever you are and go through the entire course sincerely. Wish you all the best. Hari Om. Hari Om. Sunita, you can start.
Hari Om. Once again, welcome to all of you who are here. And thank you very much for attending for all the 3 days. And I'm sure you're reveled in the talk and the Adhyatmic significance of the Ramayana. Those of you who would like to offer Guru Dakshina to Vedji and to Chinmaya Mission, I have pasted the link for the Guru Dakshina in the chat box. You may go there and offer your Guru Dakshina. Thank you so much. Over to you, Vedji.
Hari Om. Shall we start? Before we start, a very, very, very happy Sri Ramanavami to one and all. See, every Ramanavami is very special. But this year's Ramanavami is very, very special. Why do I say that? Because after 500 years of fighting, struggling, and so much of resistance, so much of humiliation, Bhagavan is back where he was born. Don't think today is a very simple day. Today is a historic day. I hope you have seen in the morning the puja that happened to Bhagwan's Janmabhoomi Sri Rama temple, and God's grace is on us that in our lifetime we are able to see this. Only those people who have gone through this struggle will understand the significance of this. I had spoken earlier that I am from a family who has fought for this. And like me, there are so many more people who have seen the entire struggle from a very close quarters. So this is indeed a very, very special day for all of us. In the morning, you must have seen the architecture of the temple they have made is so beautiful that today the sunlight fell on his head. The Surya Tilaka happened to Bhagwan's Murti in the morning. Lucky, are all of us who are in this era where we are able to see this glory coming back to us. Prostrations unto Bhagwan Sri Rama, prostrations unto Puja Gurudev, who was one of the key members in the entire struggle that started, 30-40 years back. Before that, there are so many times this fight has happened. But in the recent times, the fight that happened, Puja Gurudev was one of the pioneers of the entire Janmabhoomi, Nyasa, etc. And prostrations unto him, his dream also is fulfilled. And prostrations to all those people who have sacrificed their life for this, day to come in our life, and to all those people who made it possible also. Prostrations to one and all present here. Let us sit straight, close our eyes, just remember Bhagwan for some time, and then we will start today's class. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 Oh. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vitvishavaihai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं Sadgurum Brahmavitvaram Neelambujasyamalakomalangam Sita Samaropitavamabhagam Panau Mahasayakacharuchapam Namami Ramam Raghuvam Shanatham Atulitabaladhamam Hemashailaabhadeham Danujavana-krishanum Jnaninamagraganyam Sakala-guna-nidhanam Vanarana-madhisham Raghupati-priya-bhaktam Vatajatam namami. Hari Om. So we have seen in the last couple of sessions few points about the spiritual significance of this entire story of Ramayana. First, we saw what are the different characters in the story they symbolize. What are the different, things that we learn from the stories. That is what we were seeing. We saw Vishwamitra's story. What do we learn from that? We saw Ahalya Uddhara story. What do we learn? Then we also saw in the last session Bhagavan Sri Rama's marriage with Sita ji. What does that signify? And lastly, we also saw the entire episode of Kaikeyi's, anger, and then she asking for the two boons, and Bhagavan entering into the forest for 14 years of Vanvasa. What do we learn from all that? That also we saw. Don't be like Manthara, gossip mongers. Don't be like Kaikeyi, false for temptations, false for passions. And don't be like Dasharatha also, promising things which are beyond your, capacity. How should we be? We should be like Bhagavan Sri Rama, who stood by Dharma, who raised the standard of Dharma, even when everyone was opposing. Now, there are so many stories that happen in between, which we have heard and which are present in so many different Ramayanas. Kevata Prasanga is there in Tulsi Ramayana, very beautifully explained how he, helps Bhagavan to cross the river, and Sita ji and Lakshmana also. Then they go to Valmiki Ashrama, then they go to, Atri Anusuya Ashrama. Bharat ji comes there when they are in Vanvasa, asking them to return. But Bhagavan sends him back with his padukas, with which Bharat ji rules for remaining time. Then they live there for long time. According to Valmiki Ramayana, 14 years of Vanvasa, actually first 1 year has gone them visiting so many places. For 10 years they have lived in one place. In what do we call? In Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh border right now. In present day, Chitrakoot is there, no? Very famous, very huge mountain. There on that mountain, they say this he stayed for 10 years. And then he left from there and came still to the southern part and came to Nashik, present day Maharashtra, where in Panchavati area, the area even today is called as Panchavati. In those times also there were 5 Vatavrakshas, very prominent trees were there. So that is the place where after traveling through Dandakaranya, etc., they all have come. 3 of them have come there. And in the last year of their Vanvasa, this entire remaining story happens. Sometimes, no, we don't understand the year calculation. We think 14 years means it happened. No. 13 years they spent in the forest, 3 of them together. Only last 1 year, this whole thing happens. What happens? The famous kidnapping happens. And that is also a very prominent story and lot to learn for all of us. So again, I am not going to go into details of the story, but we will focus on the spiritual aspect of it. So we know that Ravana, first Shurpanakha comes there when they are staying in that Panchavati and approaches in a very beautiful form, approaches Sri Rama, and then he sends to Lakshmana, etc. All that happened. She is made into deformed lady. Her ears are cut and her nose is cut, etc. And she is sent back because of her aggression towards Sita ji. She is sent back. So then her brothers, attack. Khara, Dushana, Trishiras, etc. All of them attack. And very, Bhagwan Sri Rama is so strong, so powerful, and so skilled that he alone defeats 14,000 Rakshasas in 1 hour. That is how Valmiki Ramayana explains this entire thing. He tells, Lakshmana to protect Sitaji and remain in one cave, and there he destroys entire army of this Rakshasas, 14,000 Rakshasas, alone in 1 hour. 1.5 muhurtas. That is how it explains. So 48 minutes is one muhurta, no? 1.5, if you see, it will almost 1 hour, little more than 1 hour probably. In that much time, he has killed so many. We can't even count 14,000 asuras in that much time. He has killed so many asuras in that time. So that also happens. The news reaches Ravana, where Shurpanaka herself goes. Ravana is her cousin brother. She goes there and, unnecessarily, needles with his ego, and then makes, him have desire for Sitaji, and explains everything. And then Ravana decides that I want this lady, and therefore what? The problem is this Sri Rama. Let me remove him for some time, and then I will get it. He goes to Maricha. Maricha is the same Maricha whom Bhagwan had, with his arrow had thrown him 100 yojanas away. But he's still a Rakshasa, is still in his clan, and Ravana is still his king. So he goes to Maricha and orders him to help him. And Maricha says, no, I'm not going to do that. Why? Because I like Sri Rama now. He has become disciple by that time. And he says, there is nothing more in my life now. I will stay here in the banks of and on the seashore, and I will worship Bhagwan. That's my life now. So Ravana threatens him by saying that if you don't do that, I will kill you. Now Maricha thinks that it is better to get killed by Sri Rama than getting killed by Ravana. And then he thinks that there must be something in Bhagwan's mind that he wants me to play this. And therefore he agrees, and he comes there. He takes the form of that beautiful golden deer, Hiranyamruga, and then Kanchanamruga, and then he comes there, and Sitaji, gets attracted and says that I want this. I have never seen anything like this. It will be so wonderful to have this. Bhagwan tries to explain, Are, nothing like that. Don't fall for all these things. She says, no, I want. Then, typical, she starts saying, you would never give me anything. We are in forest for such a long time. Simple thing I'm asking right in front of me. Why can't you give? Bhagwan says, okay. Then Bhagwan goes to get this Kanchanamruga. This Kanchanamruga takes Bhagwan away from the place. And, at the same time, when Bhagwan is about to attack this Maricha in Sri Rama's voice shouts and calls Lakshmana, Ha Lakshmana, please come, please save me, etc. And Sitaji says that, your brother is in trouble, you must go. Lakshmana says, no, my brother, nothing will happen. He already killed 14,000 asuras. What will happen to him? Don't worry. But then, a lot of conversation, etc. happens there. And she insults also Lakshmanji, and then finally Lakshmanji says, fine, I will go. And in most of the Ramayana, not in Valmiki Ramayana, but in the other Ramayana, he draws one line, Lakshmana Resha. He draws one line and requests Sitaji not to come out of this, whatever may happen. It's like a protection for her. And Lakshmana goes there to check for Sri Rama, goes very far because they all have gone very far, and then realizes that, nothing has happened, and it was an asura in the form of that golden deer who shouted and who called Lakshmana. But by the time here, what happens? Ravana comes in the disguise of a sannyasi, of a sadhu, and comes there and asks for Bhiksha, asks her to come out of that Lakshmana Resha. And the moment she steps out, he takes his original form and captures her and takes her away. Right? And then when he is taking her away, Jatayu, a very old friend of Dashrath Maharaj, actually, who is there with them, he knows them, and he spent some time with them also in Vanvasa. He understands that this is something happening wrong. He starts to fight with Ravana, fights valiantly. Jatayu is in the form of a vulture. He fights very valorously, but Ravana is much more powerful than him. He cuts both the wings of Jatayu. Jatayu falls, and Ravana takes Sitaji. Right? Of course, the story continues that Sri Rama meets Jatayu and comes to know about this, and Jatayu gives up his life in the lap of Sri Rama, and Sri Rama does Antya Samskara for him because he was his father's friend. Like my father, I could not do Antya Samskara for my father, I will do for him. So Sri Rama does that. This is a story. Now, what do we learn from here? In this story, Sita ji represents us, the individual Jiva. Jiva is always united with Lord. Jiva and Ishvara, they always stay together. Now, as long as we have this connection with God and we are there with the Lord, we don't have problem. Problem comes when our attention from God is taken away and the attention goes outside towards very, very shining, attractive, and that golden deer represents all these objects, sensory objects, which are very, very tempting. So every single time we go out to indulge in these objects, we go away from our God. And then what happens? Very soon we realize that these objects are very, very attractive, agreed, but they are very fleeting. They don't stay. But now what? Now the mistake has happened. In Viveka Chudamani also, Bhagavan Shankaracharya explains this. Vishaya Anugrahanam. Says, taking these Vishayas and going after them, he says this is like a fall, pramada. And pramado vai mrityuhu. He explains there very beautifully that even the ego, even after your ego is destroyed, you should not go out. Don't take that risk. Ego will come back. Ego will be revived, he says. And then suppose in case you are away from God and you are into the world, enjoying the sensory objects, you still have one chance of saving yourself if you remain in Lakshmana Resha. Lakshmana, earlier also we said, is Vairagya, no? You remember, Lakshmana is Vairagya or Seva. That Vairagya, that self-control, Brahmacharya, that is the line. When we are indulging also, when we are experiencing, enjoying also, if we remain in the line of dharma, and if remaining in that dharmic way, if we try to fulfill our desires, there is nothing wrong with it. In our Hindu culture traditions, we have four what we call as purusharthas. Four goals are there of human life: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. But there, that artha and kama, artha refers to the material prosperity, and kama refers to the enjoyment. Those two also need to be gained through dharma. Dharma is the first one. As long as we remain in the boundary of dharma and enjoy, there is nothing wrong. But often what happens is, when we get attracted towards something, it blinds us and we don't realize when we cross the line of dharma. When we become selfish and our enjoyment becomes more important than everything else, and for our enjoyment to the lengths that we go, we can't be sure of that. So that's what happens with Sita ji also. First, her mind gets away from Sri Rama and she wants something of the world. Thus, the separation happens. And then Lakshmana Resha, which is there, that also she crosses. Now, when that happens, then this most dangerous demon comes. That is Ravana. Actually, Ravana represents Ahankara. Ahankara is not just ego. See, in Vedanta, Ahankara has got little more meaning than just ego. Ego, when we say, we think ego means ego, pride, I am this, I am that. That's one aspect of ego, that which is right also. But ahankara means aham karoti iti ahankara. One who does I, etc. Which means what? Identifying with the body, I say this is me. Identifying with my mind, I say this is me. Identifying with my intellect, I say this is me. That identification is also called as ahankara. I think that I am this body, mind, intellect. That itself is called as ahankara, which is a moha, which is a delusion. Why? Because I am actually the pure self, but not understanding or not realizing my own true nature. I consider myself to be something else. I consider myself to be body, mind, intellect. This is called moha also. Moha, delusion, means what? Misapprehension. Misapprehension means what? Seeing something as something else. And thus, when Ravana appears there also, how does he appear? He does not appear as himself. He appears as someone else. He appears there in the disguise of a sadhu, of a sannyasi. Now, here one more important point to be noted. We live in this world and we see so many sadhus around us. If you are lucky to be born in India, we see so many sadhus and sannyasis around us. Many times it happens that we don't have respect for them. We think, what is this sadhus, etc. But please note this point. Even Ravana knew the importance, auspiciousness, and the purity of sadhus. That's why he came in the disguise of a sannyasi, knowing that they are the most respected people. Even in Ramayana, I'm talking. I have some views about this, because I know many people, they say, no Vedji, but all those people who wear orange clothes are not good people. No, I agree with that. I am not saying anything about that. But why should we disrespect? If you don't like a particular person, don't follow. But why should we disrespect? Why? Because we have no idea what are they actually. There are people who have given up the worldly way and living a life dedicated for realizing the self. This is the highest seva that is possible. Just for that matter, you should give respect to them. Okay. Also, please remember, where the sadhus, sannyasis are not respected, we know what happens in that place. Okay. It is there in our Puranas also, where Brahmanas, those who are dedicated to the knowledge, those who suffer, such Brahmanas suffer in a place, that place, has got long years of suffering. Okay. If we see recent history of India also, from 2007-8 onwards, if we see where the true sannyasi was disrespected, we had natural calamities happening in that area. Tamil Nadu has seen it. Now it is time of Maharashtra for seeing it. We do anything wrong with such people who are well respected, calamity is bound to come. As a society, therefore, we should understand this. Again, I am telling, I am not saying, have faith on everyone. No, I am not saying that. But that is not a reason for disrespecting. Actually, for that matter, we are respecting every single being in this world, isn't it? Not just human beings. We have respect for every single being. Then why not for them as well? We should have respect for them, for the path that they have chosen, and for the service that they are doing. Remember, Pujya Gurudev himself went there in Himalayas to expose these sadhus, because he thought they are parasites on the society. But when he went, he saw, he was transformed. He became one of them. All right. So just this important point, we as a society also needs to learn. Right. Now coming back to the story, Ravana, who is Ahankara, who appears different from what he actually is, comes there and kidnaps Sita ji. When Ahankara kidnaps the individual, then Ahankara takes that individual to all kinds of things, and sorrow is finally the result. And therefore, immediately when Sita ji sees Ravana, from that moment onwards, she understands what has happened, what a mistake, big mistake I have done. She starts crying, but he still takes her, right? Then we go forward. Jatayu's episode also very, very important thing to learn for us. How much ever, weak we may be against the force which is wrong, We may have little power, and so-called bad people may have more power. Doesn't matter. Fight is what we must do. Whether we live or not, whether we win or not, it doesn't matter. What matters is for us to fight. Yesterday also in the last session we saw wrong is wrong even if everybody is doing it. Right is right even if nobody is doing it. So when you stand up for right, even if you have to fight with everyone else, we must fight. Actually, speaking, Puja Guruji Swami Tejomananji explains this very beautifully in one of his books. I think in Victorious Youth, or Game of Life. In one of these two books, he explains this very beautifully. He says actually in the battle of Jatayu and Ravana, we often we think that Ravana won because Ravana killed Jatayu. But he says that's not the correct analysis. Why? Because think from a larger perspective. Ravana wanted to kidnap Sita ji and marry her and live with her. Jatayu wanted to protect Sita ji. If you see in a longer term, who has won? Jatayu has won. Ravana could not become successful. Yes, he died before that, fine. But his motive was good. His effort was, very good. And he died while fighting for good. That itself is a victory. We have so many of our people from India who fought, during the British rule, during the Mughal rule, etc. And in their own lifetime, they could not even see the independent India. But still they won. Why? Because they were fighting on their path of good, on the side of good. And therefore, eventually when that good wins, they are the people who have won. Eventually when Sri Rama is going to kill Ravana, it is Jatayu's victory also as much as Sri Rama's victory. If you look at that just small thing and you may say that, okay, Ravana killed Jatayu, Ravana won. But no. See in the larger context and then we understand. And therefore, whether it is in our capacity or not. See, before fighting only Jatayu knew that I cannot win over Ravana in a battle. Ravana was very powerful. He has won over all the three worlds. He was the most powerful person at that time. Most powerful demon. So therefore, whatever happens, doesn't matter whether I will win or not, I must fight. This unbelievable determination, persistence, perseverance is what we must learn from Jatayu. And standing up for what is right. You see, bad things happen in the society not just because of bad people. Bad things happen in the society because good people don't do anything. This is again something that is required, that requires a lot of our thinking. Yes, there may be negative forces, but when a positive force does not stand up for fighting, is actually helping the negative forces to win. Therefore, in front of your eyes, whenever adharma is happening, to the best of your capacity, you fight. Whether you will win that battle or not, doesn't matter. Often, we hear this, Veji, you said we should speak truth always, but all the people are speaking lie. All the people around me are speaking lie and they are, progressing also. What can one person do? No, one person can do so many things. And doesn't matter whether one person or two people or 50 people or 1,000 people. Whatever is right, you fight. This is also something that we must learn from this entire Jatayu's thing. Right? So we see that Sita ji, who is a Jiva, who is all of us, when we don't remember Bhagwan and focus on the material world, then we get separated from the Lord. And if in case we cross the boundary of brahmacharya, self-control, dharma also, we cross that boundary, then we start to fall. This is ladder of fall, which is explained in Srimad Bhagavad Gita also. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha, sangasteshu upajayate, sangat sanjayate kamaha. We all know that. Just by looking at sense objects, we start getting attached to them. From attachment rises desire. From desire rises anger. From anger, krodhat bhavati sammoha, you become deluded. Then you lose all your memory and all the good things that have happened with you. Smriti vibhramsha. Smriti Bhramshat Buddhi Nasha, then you lose your power of discrimination, and Buddhi Nashat Vinashyati, and you perish. Everything starts how? I want something of the world. When you say I want something of the world means what? I am not happy with what I have. And what do I have? I have God with me. And if you are not happy with God and you want something of the world, that's bound to bring about fall. But one fall doesn't mean you have to remain fallen. What Sita ji shows us is, yes, a mistake might have happened, but to come back from that fall, to stand up again, that is what Sita ji represents. See, when the mistake happens, you have to go through the consequence of the mistake, isn't it? And therefore, what happens? Sita ji is taken away from Bharata into Lanka. You see, that also signifies so many things. Bharata. Bharata is the land of light, land of knowledge, land of devotion. And Lanka, the word itself is Suvarna Lanka, no? It's a land of materialism. I'm not saying present day Lanka, present day Bharat, okay? Don't misunderstand it like that. Wherever there is light of knowledge which is prominent, that place is called as Bharata. Geographically, it can be anywhere. But spiritual significance you can see when the mind is focused on the objects, wants to get objects, and therefore is separated from the Lord, then Ahankara takes this mind away from knowledge to materialism, away from Bharata to Lanka. That is what happens. But even in the Lanka, which is the land of materialism, land of material enjoyments, filled with demons there, Sita ji now has understood her mistake, and therefore she takes a very strong decision that now I will be with Bhagwan in my memory always. So she focuses her entire attention on Bhagwan, even though she is in that land which is, filled with all these asuras and rakshasas, etc. Materialism is very strong, but where is Sita ji living? In Lanka, she is living in Ashoka Vatika. Ashoka means where there is no sorrow. She is living amidst all the things that will give sorrow, okay? There is Rajasic Vrittis, which is materialism. There are Tamasic Vrittis, which are these Rakshasas, etc. But even among them, she is living in Ashoka Vatika. Why? Because now in her mind only one thing is there. Ram, Ram, Ram. That's it. She doesn't care about anything. Now when she is so much resolved and focused on Bhagavan Sri Rama, Ravana cannot even touch her. You imagine what kind of powerlessness Ravana must have felt. In his kingdom, in his capital, under his rule, he can't even touch Sita ji. He kept saying that I am the Swami, I am the master of the three worlds, but remaining there as his prisoner, Sita ji is not even touched by Ravana. Why? Because now she is focused on Sri Rama. So the fall has happened, mistake has happened, doesn't matter. You come back from that mistake. That's what we have to learn from it. Yes, we have gone to the world, we have enjoyed, but then what? We must come back. Remember Bhagavan again, and one day you will meet him again. Focus on that. You go through whatever consequences of that mistake that you have done, but be there. Now what? When you decide that you want to be with Bhagavan, Bhagavan is so compassionate that he takes all the trouble of coming to you. Isn't it? When Sita ji decides that the mistake has happened and she focuses her attention on Sri Rama, the Lord, goes through all the difficulties to come and be united with this Jiva, with this Bhakta again. And thus we see Bhagavan Sri Rama and Lakshmana going through the forest, searching for Sita ji. On the way, they meet, Shabari, etc. Shabari guides them to Sugriva. They meet Hanumanji also. They meet Sugriva also. Sri Rama kills Bali, and with Sugriva as his friend, who is now the king also after killing Vali, and then he sends all the monkeys to different parts of the world to check Where is Sita ji? Hanuman ji, of course, goes to Lanka, crosses, such a long 800 miles ocean he crosses, Ashta Yojana. Yeah, so much far he crosses, he goes there, he meets Sita ji, and we see in the story that she is about to give up her life. She says that I will enter into fire. Bhagwan is not coming. At that time, Hanumanji comes there, and she is in such a distress, etc. First, she doesn't even recognize him or doesn't even know who he is. But then afterwards, he consoles her and says that don't worry, Bhagwan will come. With that thought that Bhagwan will come, she remains alive. Otherwise, Sita ji would have given up her life sometime back itself. And then Hanumanji, of course, we know the entire story of what happens. He breaks the ahankara of Ravana also, and he kills Ravana's son also, and then comes back, tells everything to Bhagwan Sri Rama, and then Bhagwan, of course, goes towards that Rameshwaram. He establishes Bhagwan Shivalinga there, prays to Bhagwan Shiva, and then bridge is built between Bharata and Lanka with the name. We see all these things happening, no? And they, of course, all the Vanara Sena along with Sri Rama crosses the ocean. Now, see why I'm going so fast with the story. Somebody who doesn't know the story, my apology, but I can't help. Already told you I can't finish story also in 3 days, right? And for most of the people, you know the story. So I am just showing now what are the points that we are going to focus on. Now coming back to spirituality. We have seen that Sita ji is we, now separated from God because of our mistake of going to the world. Bhagavan is taking now all the steps forward. Hanuman ji represents Guru. This is very interesting. Why? Because you see, Hanuman ji is Amsha of Lord Shiva. Rudramsha he is, isn't it? Hanuman ji is born from the Amsha of Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva is Guru Sthani. Sada Shiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam, isn't it? Starts with Lord Shiva, Dakshinamurti only. So Hanuman ji is Guru. What does Guru do? When the devotee is calling for the Lord, and Lord still wants to check this devotee and wants to see how much sadhana he has done, first thing that Lord does is he sends Guru to this jiva, where the Guru guides and says that don't worry, you keep doing this sadhana and you will meet God. Every single time Hanumanji has met someone, later on Sri Rama also has met that person, whether it is Sugriva, whether it is Sita ji, whether it is Ravana, whether it is Vibhishana, all kinds of people. Hanumanji meets them first, then he introduces all of them to Sri Rama. Hanumanji represents that Guru. And see, once Guru has come, he is God's messenger, no? So then what? Then he shows the path. Then we have to follow. Sita ji also does the same. Sugriva also does the same. You know the story also, no? Sugriva doesn't know who is Sri Rama. It is on Hanumanji's saying that he believes in him and has friendship. Vibhishana also does the same. Ravana's brother also does the same. He first meets Hanumanji. Hanumanji inspires him, and then he leaves Lanka and joins with Sri Ram. Once Guru has come, then God will surely come and meet us. Now, interesting one more thing is monkeys. There are so many monkeys who honor Sena. Bhagwan's Sena is what? The Sena is made up of monkeys. Oh, what are these monkeys? The monkeys are thoughts. Thoughts of the mind. See, one peculiar quality of monkeys you must have seen is they don't remain in one place still at any point of time. They keep jumping from one place, one tree to another, etc. And even if they have to sit at one place, they keep moving. That is how our thoughts are. Our mind, our thoughts keep jumping from one place to another, etc. It keeps on happening. Now, these monkeys, under the rule of Vali, are all scattered in different places, uncontrollable. But under the rule of Sugriva, they are all now has become an army. Isn't it? Sugriva, the word itself means Sugriva, one who has got a good griva. Griva is neck also sometimes, that beak also is sometimes called as griva. But one who is well trained, Sugriva also means that. One who has got good control. He has got good control over thoughts, over monkeys. And therefore, under Sugriva's rule, thoughts are all well trained. And because they are fulfilling the wish of Bhagavan, they are walking the path to fulfill the wish of Bhagavan, led by Hanumanji, who is the Guru. You see now how all the things are falling in place now. Then such monkeys who are otherwise scattered and all the time jumping from here and there, they become an army. They become an army so powerful that it can destroy and defeat the strongest army at that time. Ravana's was the strongest army, biggest army at that time. But they are able to do that. Right? So this is what we see from this. Now, constructing that setu and crossing the ocean is also very, very significant. Often people ask this question, what is so great about Sri Rama's name? You see, Sri Rama's name is great. The time is not sufficient for me to explain the greatness of Ramanama. Please, if you get opportunity at some point of time, study Balakanda of Tulsi Ramayana, of Ramacharitmanas, where before the entire story begins, Tulsidas ji has spent lot of time explaining the glory of Ramanama. He explains how Ramanama is greater than Sadguna and even Nirguna aspect of Bhagavan. He goes to such an extent that he says that Ramanama is greater than Sri Rama himself. He says Sri Rama only, could rescue few people and could bring few people with him to Saketa Loka, but Bhagavan's name has saved so many millions of people later on. Bhagavan's name is very powerful. And the power is shown that when Bhagavan's name is written on the rock does not sink. It is there and the bridge is made out of it. We know Sri Rama is written on that, and that is how the bridge is made. Right? Very important thing for all of us to know. When we have Ramanama in our heart, we can cross any ocean. Whether it is Hanumanji in the beginning, Tulsidaji says very beautifully in Hanuman Chalisa also, Prabhu Mudrika Meli Mukhamahi, Jaladhi Langi Gaye Achara Janahi. Bhagavan Hanumanji has kept Sri Rama's Mudrika. Mudrika means ring. Bhagavan's ring, which has Ram written on it, Bhagavan has given him so that when you meet Sitaji will know that you are my messenger. And Hanumanji being a monkey, he doesn't have any place to keep the ring. He's jumping, he's flying from here to there. So he keeps that ring in his mouth, in his teeth. And that's how he jumps. And Tulsidaji says, Hanumanji keeping that ring in the mouth means Hanumanji keeps Bhagavan's name in his mouth. He's chanting Bhagavan's name, and for someone who is chanting Bhagavan's name, what ocean can do? He says he crossed the entire ocean, not a big deal. Acharajanahi, there is no wonder. Why? He had Bhagavan's name in his mouth. So that is what he has done. And later on, with that power of that name, a bridge is built. Now, when a bridge is built over the ocean, even an ant can cross the ocean now. See, that was done by very powerful Hanumanji himself, flying over. But when the bridge is made, even an ant can't even imagine crossing ocean. You understand? One wave and the city of ants will be destroyed. One wave of the ocean. But with the bridge, even an ant can cross. That's the greatness of Bhagavan's Nama. That Setu is Sri Rama Nama. With that Sri Rama Nama Setu, we can unite with Bhagavan. Okay? That is the beauty. Much more can be said about glory of Bhagavan's Rama, but his name also, not enough time, doesn't matter. At some other time we will do that. But the entire army of monkeys along with Sri Rama, then enters into Lanka. And then the war happens. There are so many beautiful stories in between which I have skipped, which have a lot of significance, but spiritual significance we have not seen of all those stories. There is a story when earlier when Sugriva, after becoming king, forgets that he has also made a promise to Sri Rama. That story is also there. Now, after reaching Lanka, also Angada, Vali's son, goes there, and that also very beautiful story is there, where his faith on Lord and Bhagavan's power is tested through a devotee also. Now, all those stories are there, but now what happens? Now, the final battle happens. In Valmiki Ramayana also, Yuddha Kanda is a huge kanda, and lots of different battles are happening at different places between different demons. But the main battle is between Sri Rama and Ravana. Sri Rama represents Lord, represents our true self, and Ravana represents Ahankara, we have seen earlier. This battle that happens between Ishvara and Jiva Bhava, the individual ego, is the most terrible battle. And that's why in Valmiki Ramayana it is said, Rama Ravanayor Yuddham, Rama Ravanayor Iva. It is said the battle between Sri Rama and Ravana is like the battle between Sri Rama and Ravana. You can't have comparison of that battle with anything else. Now, as that battle is happening outside, which went on for 9 days, some people they say that that's what Navratri is. The battle went on for 9 days, and on the 10th day, Bhagavan kills Ravana. That is the day of Dashahara. Dashahara. Ravana has got 10 heads, no? So he was called Dashamukha. He was killed by Sri Rama on that day, and therefore Dashera we celebrate. Vijayadashmi also it is called. It is the day, the 10th day of the month where we are celebrating. Vijaya, win is celebrated. So that also we know the Navaratri, Sharadiya Navaratri, and the 10th day which is there. Now, what is the spiritual significance? What is happening inside? Generally, these 9 days are divided into 3. Even those who are worshippers of Devi, 3 different forms of the Devi are worshipped in these 9 days. First 3 days is the worship of Durga. And that's why if you do Durga Saptashati Parayana, etc. also, Chandika Parayana also, if you do, the 3 charitras are there in Durga Saptashati, Devi Mahatmya, no? Durga Saptashati, 3 charitras are there. In the first charitra, the Adhishthatri is Durga. The second charitra, Adhishthatri, is Mahalakshmi, where the Mahishasura Vada happens. And in the third charitra, Adhishthatri is Saraswati. Now, similarly, here also the first 3 days are worship of Durga. Next 3 days are worship of Mahalakshmi. And last 3 days are worship of Mahasaraswati. And the 10th day, Sri Rama kills Ravana. What do they signify? In our sadhana, when Jiva, let us say, when we are trying to kill Ahankara by help of Bhagavan, first thing that we have to do is to get rid of all the vices, all the negativities from our life. And that is done by power of Durga. Second thing that we have to do is, after getting rid of the vices, negativities, the extrovertedness, etc., now we have to inculcate positive qualities in us, spiritual qualities in us, sadhana chatushtaya, and all the gunas. All those things, abhayam, sattva, samshuddhi, etc., what is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita also, all those gunas we have to inculcate. Now, Adhishthatri for gunas is Mahalakshmi. Mahalakshmi is not just for giving outer prosperity, but also for inner virtues. So thus the next 3 days are worship of Mahalakshmi, where we inculcate positive qualities. And then the last 3 days are worship of Saraswati, where we seek knowledge. The final end is going to happen by this self-knowledge alone. Thus, we start with Shravana Manana Nidhyasana, which is indicated by the last 3 days, and then finally, on the 10th day, this ahankara is destroyed by the self. Ahankara is destroyed. So this is the spiritual significance of the battle between Rama and Ravana. And then again, how is it destroyed? Earlier, on the final day also, Sri Rama is trying to cut one head of this Ravana. Ravana has got 10 heads and it keeps coming. So when Bhagavan is trying to, cut off his one head, it again comes back, it again comes back, it again comes back. Then Vibhishana explains to him that in his Nabhi, in his navel, there is an Amrita Kalasha. Unless you destroy that, Ravana will not get killed. So then Sri Rama stops, cutting off his head and focuses on his navel. And with that Rama Bana, with that arrow that Bhagavan Sri Rama sends, which pierces the navel, the center point of this Ravana is destroyed. Okay. Siyavara Ramachandra ki jai. Now what is this? This heads. We have said Ravana is Ahankara. Ahankara keeps on bringing up his hoods again and again, even if we keep on cutting it. We get disrespected at one place, our Ahankara gets one jolt, it keeps coming again. Again, one more head is cut, again another head will come. That also, if we don't have Ahankara of anything, we will have Ahankara that we will not have Ahankara of anything. That's how we are. I don't have Ahankara for anything. That becomes Ahankara now. Ahankara keeps bringing up his heads again and again. The way is what? Ahankara has got its root. That root is Ajnana, ignorance. Strike at that root. Strike at that root. Only when the ignorance is destroyed by self-knowledge, Ahankara gets destroyed automatically. So that is indicated by Sri Rama, attacking navel. Navel is the center point of the body, attacking the navel of Ravana and thus killing him with this Rama Bana. Okay, so that is what is this entire battle. Once Ahankara is destroyed, the obstacle is gone. Once we have gone through the entire sadhana of destroying our vices, inculcating the virtues, and then the jnana sadhana also, Shravana Mana Nidhyasana, then what happens? Then Sri Rama unites with Sita ji. We unite back with our God. So Sita ji is Jiva, Sri Rama is Lord. Union happens. Or as we have seen right in the beginning, Sri Rama is the self and Sita ji is peace. The union between that happens. We realize our own true nature as that supreme peace. Okay. This is the story of Ramayana. We have listened to this Ramayana story so many times. But now we understand this with spiritual significance. And because of this spiritual significance, we say that this Ramayana is happening with us every moment of our daily life. We are in constant fight with all the demons within us. We are in constant fight with Ahankar. We have to destroy Ajnana. And therefore, Ramayana shows us the way to do this. As I have said earlier, just because there is a spiritual significance does not mean that Ramayana was not a historic event. It was an historic event. It was a historic event, but we have some things that we can take up from that entire story, and that's what we have tried to do. This entire spiritual significance which we see is coming in our tradition. Puja Guruji has spoken of this so many times. Swami Swarupanand has spoken of it. Gurudev used to give this entire beautiful, simile and extended metaphor of Ramayana. Adi Shankaracharya himself has done that. In Atmabodha, which is a very, very core Vedantic text. You must have seen ad also in the beginning. One course is starting in Sandipani, which Swamiji Advayananji is going to take classes on Atmabodha starting next month. This Atmabodha, which is very core Prakarana Grantha of Vedanta, where all the Vedantic, Advaita Vedantic concepts are explained. So Sri Shankaracharya ji brings one shloka summarizing the entire Ramayana as a spiritual significance. Atma Ramo Virajate. You see, you go there and you will see that. We also have so many other people who have shown this kind of spiritual significance, and therefore it's always good to listen to the stories of Bhagavan. And from each story there are different points that we learn even in our day-to-day life. But even from a spiritual standpoint, from the standpoint of that ultimate sadhana, from the standpoint of Jiva becoming one with the Supreme Self, Ramayana shows us the path. We prostrate to Lord Rama, Bhagavan Sri Rama, for giving us this opportunity of reflecting on this beautiful Ramayana, his story, in this different perspective of spirituality, Adhyatmik perspective. Prostrations unto him. We prostrate to the entire Guru Parampara also for bringing this knowledge to us. Whatever good was there during these three sessions, all belongs to them, the entire Guru Parampara. Whatever faults, mistakes, shortcomings were there, they all belong to me. Forgive me for that. Thanks to Chinmay Mission Mumbai also, Mahima Zone, for organizing this wonderful program for all of us. And thank you all for attending and giving me this chance of reflecting on this wonderful text. May Bhagavan be pleased with this Vangmayi Puja, with this worship through the words. Let us complete as the tradition goes by remembering Sri Hanumanji. He is the Guru. Don't forget. He is the one who is going to take us to Bhagavan Sri Rama. We will remember Hanumanji and we will conclude today's class. Veera Maruti Gambhira Maruti, Veera Maruti Gambhira Maruti, Veera Maruti Ati Dhira Maruti, Veera Maruti Ati Dhira Maruti, Geeta Maruti Sangeeta Maruti, Geeta Maruti Sangeeta Maruti, दूत मारुति राम दूत मारुति, दूत मारुति राम दूत मारुति, भक्त मारुति परम भक्त मारुति, भक्त मारुति परम भक्त मारुति, वीर मारुति गंभीर मारुति, वीर मारुति गंभीर मारुति, गंभीर मारुति, गंभीर मारुति। सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय, उमापति महादेव की जय, बोलो भाई सब संतन की जय, सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। ओम पूर्णमद पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो ओम। हरि ओम।
What a wonderful 3 days it has been. Thank you so much, Vedji. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts to be able to make time for us today. We also take this opportunity to thank each one of you. And also, above all, we thank Shri Rama and Gurudev for allowing this to happen, for making this happen successfully. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I must also thank the team here, CIF team here, who has helped with media and IT support, etc. Thanks to them also.
Their support has not only been immense, it's also been so prompt.
Yes.
It's never happened that we asked them for support and it did not come on the very same day within an hour.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to all. Hari Om.
Thank you.